Hey everyone, my name is Z. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm a Canadian Pakistani cinematographer. Today's video is going to be a lighting breakdown on a commercial that we shot. Now, this was for a local Indian restaurant and we did a few 15-second spots. So first up, here's the commercial.
Introducing Tasty Indian Bistro's exclusive lineup of signature cocktails. Crafted with care, each sip bursts with the vibrant flavors. Drink in style, only at Tasty Indian Bistro.
So we're not going to go through all of the shots here, but I did pick out about 3 that we will go through. Okay, so the first shot that we have here is the main female talent. She's taking a drink from the cocktail and then she places it down on the table. Now, first, let's start with the camera that we're using here. We're using the Sony FX3, which is a full frame camera, and we're using the Tamron 28-75 lens, but this right here is about a 50mm equivalent for the framing. And our white balance is about at 3200 Kelvin. We are shooting in S-Log3. Okay, the first thing I want to highlight, which is I think really important in your shot, are the use of practicals. So here we actually placed this lamp at the bar and there was already a bunch of practicals in the back that we used here. We weren't able to dim this, but luckily they weren't that super bright. So they worked out really great in the shot in the background here. So the first light we're going to talk about is the main key light. Now this is the light that's adding all of this light to our main talent here. And you get this beautiful fall off that's happening from the left to the right. And of course we are shooting on the shadow side, which gives you this really nice look. So the light that we're using is actually a Godox F200 by, and that's just a 2x2 panel. It does have some diffusion in the front of it as well as a grid. And the grid is used there to control that light and make sure it's not falling off in the background and it's hitting our talent directly. We have it set to about 3200 Kelvin and we have it set to about 50%. Now I would say this light is about 3 to 4 feet away from our talent. So we have the bar here and just behind the bar is where we place our light. So that's where it is in terms of location. But again, it's providing this beautiful soft light on our talent. Again, that diffusion in front of the talent, in front of the 2x2 and with the grid really helps control that light. So the next light I want to talk about is actually doing 2 things. It's adding a rim light to our talent, which you can see here. And you can also see it on the background actors as well. So you get this beautiful rim light that just actuates the talent outside right there. And another thing that light's also doing is adding some ambience into the room. So we have it quite far back and it's shining all this light into the shot and actually helps fill in a lot of the light in the background as well. So that light is the Godox 1200 by. So this is a 1200 watt equivalent light. Now we do have a silk in front of it as well as a Cucaloris in front of it as well. And that's just to break up the light that's shining through. And we have this set to about 17% at 3200 Kelvin. And again, that's the light that's hitting our actress in the back here and giving that nice soft rim right along the edge here. So we actually have one more light that we're using, and that's a Xeon G200, which is a 200 watt light. And we actually have that on a spotlight shooting into the ceiling. Again, this is also at 3200 Kelvin. And we have this set to 100%. Now this light is actually bouncing into the ceiling and adding some fill into our actress's face down this way. Just so we found the contrast here was a little too much and we wanted to fill in her face a little bit more so it wraps around nice and neat this way. So that's why we bounced it into the ceiling in front of our talent, just so it would help with the fall off. Now again, just to highlight, we have our 2x2 panel, which is our main key light, and that's adding all the light into our talent's face. That's giving you this really soft fill onto this side here. And again, we have our 1200 by, which is acting as our rim light, giving in all this light that we have in the background here. And again, that's also acting as a room fill back here as well. And of course, the last light we just talked about is the Xeon G200, which is on a spotlight shooting into the ceiling. And again, that's going into the ceiling and acting as a fill for our Talon's face, and some room ambience as well. Okay, let's take a look at the next shot that we have here. Okay, so the next shot we have here is the bartender passing the cocktail over to our main talent. So I absolutely love the lighting on this shot, and it was actually quite simple the way we did it. So again, let's go through the camera one more time. Again, we're using the FX3. White balance is about 3200 Kelvin. Again, we're using the Tamron 28 to 75 lens. That's a 2.8 lens. Again, we're at about 50 millimeters at a f2.8. Okay, so the first light we have is actually a Godox 4-foot tube, and we have this overhead on the opposite side of the cocktail. So that's giving us this super soft lighting. We are using it with the grid, and that's just to control the spill of the actual light and making sure it's hitting this nice and direct. I absolutely love tube lights. They're one of my favorite lights to use. They're battery powered, they're small, you can hang them up anywhere you can like. You can stick them in places, you can, put magnets on them. They're just so versatile, and I think one of the best investments you can make. So we have the Godox 4-foot tube. This is set to 3200 Kelvin and about at 70% lighting here. And once again, this is giving us all that soft glow on here and giving a nice little rim light on the back of our cocktail. So the next light we also have is again the Xeon G200 with the spotlight. Again, that's the 200 watt light with the spotlight. We have that set to 100% at 3200 Kelvin. And again, we're using the same technique here where we're bouncing it into the ceiling and then that's coming back down. And that's again just to give light on this entire area here. So otherwise the shadows would be a little bit too dark and not enough light coming in. The last light we actually have, and I don't think we actually needed it for this shot, but I'll add it in anyways, is we used the 2x2 panel to act as a rim light on our talent back here. But since our talent is actually covering that light, I don't think it was actually necessary for this one here. So again, this is a really simple setup if we take that 2x2 out. Again, we just had the 4-foot tube that we were using in the back. And again, this was the one that's adding all this beautiful soft light to the hands. And the other one to add a little bit of fill to the entire scene. Okay, so the last shot we have here is the male and female talent. They're about to have their cocktail. And again, the first thing I want to highlight in this, which I think is absolutely crucial to setting up your lights, are practicals. So again, we placed this practical here and here. We did originally have one here, but we took that out because it was messing up with the framing. And again, this restaurant already had some practicals in the back here. We did turn these ones off because they were just shining too far down. Okay, so the first light that we have is actually a 4-foot tube that's stuck behind the bar. So again, this is a 4-foot tube. It's at 3200 Kelvin, and we have it about at 50%. And again, this is giving us that nice light that's silhouetting both our male and female talent. You can kind of see it just right here. Absolutely beautiful way to accent them and separate them from the background. Okay, and then the next light we're using is the Godox 1200 Bi, and we're shooting that into the ceiling and back down to give the room ambience. And this light was used to give some ambience into the room and help the darkness that was alleviated when we turned off these lights here. So yeah, I mean, this shot was pretty simple. Again, we have the practicals that we set up here and here. We have that 4-foot tube that's giving us that nice rim light on both of our talents. And then the 1200 Bi, which is bouncing off the ceiling and back down into the room to act as a bit of an ambience. All right, so that was all the lighting that we did for this shoot. We had a lot of scenes that we had to get through, but these were the main ones that I wanted to talk about in this video. We do have some more lighting diagrams coming up, but if you have any questions on this one here, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll be happy to explain any questions that you guys might have. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this video was insightful and you learned something today, and I'll see you guys on the next one.